What up, YouTube? This is your president, the presidential tourist, back with another video. I'm here at Lakeside Memorial Park here in Winter Haven, Florida. It's a cemetery. I'm going to give you a little bit of a tour of the cemetery, show you some of the interesting graves. There is one historical person buried here that I'm going to show you her grave, and then I'll do more about her in a separate video. But anyways, you know what that means. It's time to, let's get to it and check out the cemetery. All right. All right, before we get driving and touring around and walking around, show you here at the front. Here's the other side of that sign I was just filming in front of. Show you this sign over here. But it is a fairly big cemetery. It goes way back there. A lot of the graves are flat, as you can see. There are some, I think crypts is a technical term. I don't know how old this cemetery is, but we'll check out some of the graves and do a little walking tour, a little driving tour. Luckily it's broken up into sections. So if you have a loved one buried here and haven't been to the grave yet, a lot easier to find because some of them do not have clearly marked sections. All right, let's get going, get to it. Yeah. Here's another letter, some from the city of Winter Haven about regulations, but that letter's definitely seen better days. Well, this cemetery at least goes back to the 60s because there's one from the 60s. You can definitely tell which one's older. Some veterans' grave sites here. I don't know too much about this cemetery. That looks like that person was a member of the Masons. Some cemetery, it's hard to find like the history of it, how long it's been here. There's just not a lot of stuff unless it's like a real historical cemetery. But you can tell there's some, at least some from the 60s, and then there's some more recent, like that person who passed away, Evelyn Roberts, passed away in 2017. So there are some newer ones. It's always very important when you come to a cemetery to make sure you're completely respectful and leave the cemetery as you found it. Don't step in any of the flat graves or nothing. I'm sure some people do that, and I think it's just a horrible thing to do. I'm not sure why there's circles like that. Is it to put flour on top so it stays, or a candle? I'm not really sure what the design is. Okay, so this whole front section, looks like most of them is the flat graves. I have to go back. I did peer in here once, years ago. I haven't been back since. So I don't remember if there's the above ground tombstones too. I'm sure there is. Definitely a very peaceful place. Cemeteries almost always are. Here's another veterans grave site. A Theodore, is it Kuramidas? Looks like he fought in World War II. I'm sorry, this audio is going to be definitely, here's the newest one, 2024. This audio is going to definitely be affected by this wind. I have a dead cat. I will put on my camera, I promise. It's something I just got to do. But here's section B. Like I said, cemetery goes way back there. I'm not going to show every grave or go through every section because there's a lot here. But I'm going to try to walk around a bit and drive around too. I'm probably going to do more driving around because of this wind, because I know it's probably wreaking havoc with the microphone and everything. But over there's a nice lake. Actually, there's an interesting memorial over there I'm going to check out. The only one that's above ground in this section. Now I'm probably going to hop in the car and show you those crypts over there. A lot of wood chips here. There must have been a bigger tree that they took down. This is a little interesting. In memory of Adela Roberts Adams, State Regent 1956 and 1958. Placed by the Ponce de Leon Chapter and Florida State Society, Daughters of the American Revolution 2020. A lot of veterans grave sites here too. There's another one from World War I and World War II and Korea. So wow, he was very busy, wasn't he? That's very impressive. Let's get over there to that one right there. Here's one of a lady, Blanche Stevenson Klein. She passed away January 14, 1943, was born 1891. So maybe this cemetery goes back to the 40s, but just because she passed in 1943 doesn't mean she was buried here in 1943. It could have been after. So don't always go by like the oldest grave you see. It might not give you the age of that cemetery if you want to do like cemetery tours. I don't do too many of these. I know there's an interest in them, but I just don't do a lot. I don't know. So I always like to try to be as respectful as possible. Let's check this. This might have been a fountain at one time. Yeah, this had to have been a fountain at one time. William Franklin Eger and Charles Frederick Stickler. This has been a fountain, and I'm assuming this is probably a gravesite as well. Yeah, you can see where the water used to come out through those fish's mouth. That's interesting. This definitely has not worked as a fountain for a very long time. I don't see any other information about them. So I'm assuming they must be buried underneath this. Close to the front entrance, they have another sign here called, it says, now this one says Lakeside Memorial Garden. It's being flown at half-mast now, I think, for the passing of Pope Francis. So I'll show you a little bit of this section. Then there's some crypts over there. It looks like most, yeah, it looks like most of these tombstones are the flat ones. I'm sure there's a particular name. Oh, okay. I'm sure there's a particular name for these types of tombstones, but I don't know what they're actually called. These are probably for like cremated remains, and more of them are newer. 2024, 2012, 2015. I don't know how well you're going to see that. And then down here, looks like there's some large planters too. That's good. And then here is the crypts. I think this is the only section with the crypts, and some of them, I think homeless are living a bit around, so I'm going to be a little extra careful going around some of these. Let's start with the crypt over there, and then we'll walk down it. There's a building there. I think that's used as the maintenance to the cemetery. Again, I apologize for the sound. I will get a dead cat on this, which is supposed to help. When I came down here, years ago, I didn't really look at these crypts too much, just a little bit. Looks like this family's name, Giroux. How well you can see in there. Definitely been a while since anyone's been in there. Yeah, it's locked up, which is they usually are. Peace, tranquility, and commitment to all. It's actually an excellent saying. Just a moment. I'm going to show you some of these different crypts quickly. It looks like they're various ages. Looks like those people were buried in the 80s. These are the late 90s, 2000s. It's a very peaceful cemetery. Oh, beloved mother, beloved father. Looks like she passed in 1960. He passed in 1990, so 30 years difference. Here's the biggest crypt. Gotta be careful. There might be someone over there. Which is unfortunate. That was the one I wanted to show you the most, because that one you could get a peek in better. At least it was years ago. Yeah, there's someone's stuff around there. That's a bigger one. Yeah, these people were, it looks like a lot of them were put here in the, some were put here in the 1920s. Yeah, there's still stuff thrown in there. There's a cell phone, piece of the paper. I think it was, and that might be the same brochures I seen there when I was peeked in there before, years ago. It definitely needs to be cleaned. I'm not gonna stay here too long. Just in case that person's around. And I don't want them to get upset that I'm near their stuff. Okay. Check out the rest of these quickly. And then I think for the rest of this, I'm just gonna drive around a little bit. Definite various designs. Yeah, that green tent thing means it's for a recent burial. So this is definitely an active cemetery. I think this is put for like ventilation. It's best to have ventilation going there. I'm assuming maybe it's better to keep the body from, I don't know, I have no idea, but that's what it has to be for, is ventilation. And then here's some more. Okay, I'm going to head over here to section 7, because the grave site that I want to show you is over here. Section F, I mean. Okay, I'm going to find it and show you. Looks like this one panel's coming off. Let's try to help it out. Still looking. I know it's in this section somewhere. Well, this is really sad. I mean, every gravesite's sad, but looks like this was for a baby. The baby only must have lived one day. August 5th, 1959. Our little son, Dwayne Kevin Green. It's always sad when someone dies that young because they never got a chance to experience life, you know? This one's more unique. It's bigger, but he must have been a musician who really liked guitar. Lon Doyle Williams, beloved son and brother. He was pretty young when he passed too, what, 30 years old. Most of them just have like their names and death dates and all that. But this one's a little different. He was a beloved husband, evangelist, and pastor. It's like he passed in 1957. Morris Peterson, Ph. Even D.D. When I always think of evangelists, I always think of those pastors on television. Maybe he was one back in the day like that. I don't know. But just wanted to point that out. Look how sad this one is, baby lamb. So I'm assuming it's for a baby. I bet you the baby was stillborn. Because this looks like this is the name of the family's lamb. So the baby is stillborn. Sometimes I guess they don't give the baby an actual name. That's what they called the baby lamb. Passed in 1947. Okay, we're more in the back now. I was in the totally wrong section for the one grave I want to find. I rechecked and there's not that section. So we'll get to that in a little bit. We're basically just going to drive around a little bit. And yeah, like I said, most of these grave sites seem to be the flat stones. For the most part, I haven't seen any above except the crypts. And that's a very far back of the cemetery there. Yeah, the cemetery's big. Okay, there we are. We're looking for section T. Alright, we're going to get out and walk around a little bit more. Then I'll drive around a little bit and show you some more. Finally found the one I was looking for. Here she is, Betty Skelton Frankman. And it even says on here about her accomplishments. Pioneer aviation, beloved wife, and world champion. She passed away August 31st, 2011. She used to live in Winter Haven. I guess she lived in the Villages there for a while. But she was an aviation expert. She's a member of several Hall of Fames. She was a businesswoman, a race car driver. She just did a lot of stuff. She did some of the same testing that the astronauts went through NASA in, I think, the 50s. So she was a very accomplished woman for her time, during a time when women did not have it easy. Weren't able to thrive nearly so much as they do today. So I wanted to show her. And then this is her first husband, Donald Frankman. Looks like he was a veteran of World War II. Couldn't find too much about him. I heard that he had something to do with producing television shows or something. But like I said, I couldn't even find him listed on IMDb, so I'm not sure if that's true. But if you want to find her gravesite, she is in section T, the very far back of the cemetery. But here it is, right next to this road. There's the lake. And she's one of the main reasons why I wanted to come to the cemetery and decided to tour it and show you not just her graves, but kind of a tour of the cemetery. And if you don't know where you're looking, you do have to do a lot of walking if you're looking for a particular grave, because all these seem to be flat ones for the most part. So I've only been able to see that if I was like right on top of it. Oh, there's some chickens over there. Rooster. Very beautiful little lake over there. Very peaceful, nice tall trees, lots of shade in certain sections of this cemetery. Gonna drive around a little bit more and show you a bit around. Okay, let's get to it. Alright, back in the nice air-conditioned car. And it feels great in here. It is warm. It was like in the 90s today. But here's next to that nice, like I said, little, that is considered a lake. Head to the front now. Like I said, right down there, there's a building that I believe is used as maintenance for this cemetery. And they definitely need it because there's a lot of grass here. I know there's cemeteries far bigger than this, so like I say, if you come around here, be careful because there is some homeless people walking around here. Like that lady over there, I think. I don't want to look too much, or she doesn't look too happy.
No, that's not her.
Not her? I don't know where the other one went. She was definitely acting funny.
That way.
Alright, so when I came up on her, accident to see her behind that wall, I could tell she wasn't with it. Here's that building. And there's some more grave sites over there in this section. We probably can turn left up ahead, I'm sure. Very peaceful cemetery. Oh wait a minute, I don't think you can go out there. I think you have to turn here. Yeah. Turn here and then take a right. Careful, there's a guy coming down the road.
That's another guy walking around here.
I don't know. Okay. But okay, we're heading out. I think I showed you most of the really interesting points. If you have any comments or questions about the cemetery, let me know. I'll see about putting an address or a website if you want to check it out. Just be careful walking around as always, and always make sure you show respect to where you are. It's very important because these are all individual people with their lives and family, and they deserve to be treated with respect. Alright, we're heading out. Thank you for watching. Bye everybody. Bye.